Go ahead and see what we can load in. Let's go ahead and see what we can load in. Okay, everybody, we're going to get Jade for Justice loaded into the stream. Keep in mind if you are in that queue, make sure that you're at least 18 years old, as well as Joe. Thank you for the $20 over on PayPal, man. Joe says, no worries, Joe. No worries, man. Thank you for the $20. Let's show some love to Joe down below in that comment section. Thank you so much, Joe. What's going on, Jade for Justice? You support Trump?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can. Are you MAGA?
So, I'm actually apolitical, but I'm just curious because you speak against oppression and for liberation. So I'm wondering
Vegan.
why you are not vegan yet. Yeah, what is stopping
there we
you
go.
from
That's
aligning
right.
your actions with your beliefs? Because isn't exploiting, enslaving, and killing non-human animals still oppression? Doesn't that make you like a hypocrite to support that? What would be stopping you? It sounds like it's in line with your beliefs.
Do you mind if I ask you a single question? Listen, this question is going to come off as like very loud and rage baiting, but within all reality, I actually want to know your take.
Sure.
So, do you think that like something such as like the meat industry, which you just said was like enslaving, oppressing, etc., do you think that's morally comparable to something like the Holocaust? What's your take there?
Well, what's happening to the animals does fit the definition of a Holocaust.
Okay, so you do think
You
it's
know,
morally comparable for sure. All
I'm,
right.
I'm not
Do you
saying, you know,
do you
there's been
think
multiple Holocausts throughout history, not just one,
do
you
you
know.
do you think that it was okay to use violence to stop the Holocaust?
I don't think that that's like the worst thing. Sometimes violence needs to happen to end
Right.
oppression. And if it's like
Right.
an oppressor's life versus the lives of an innocent individual that's going to be killed if the
Right.
oppressor gets to survive, I
Right.
think that that's justifiable. But I'm
Right.
still wondering, like, what would be stopping you from
What,
going
well,
vegan, really?
I think this is what is stopping me right here. Because if you want to say that it's okay to use violence to stop the Holocaust, but yet we have a Holocaust of non-human animals in America today, does this mean that it would be okay to use violence to stop the Holocaust and the genocide of non-human animals in America today by killing people that work at meat plants, by killing people that consume a lot of meat, by like killing people
No,
that
that
drink
doesn't have
cow
to be the
milk?
solution.
But
Yeah, that I don't
I'm
think.
just saying, if that was like the only way to ensure that like this Holocaust stopped, would it be okay to like literally like slaughter like a 10-year-old boy that is
Well,
drinking
but
milk
it's not the
because
only
like
way.
they're a part of this oppressor class committing this Holocaust?
But Dean, it's not the only way. And really, we only have control over our own actions and what we do. So I'm wondering what is stopping you from not oppressing animals
Okay,
anymore?
you said
You only have
you
responsibility
said
for
it's
your
not
own
the only way. So we're
choices.
assuming that it was just as necessary as it was in the Holocaust in Germany. Would it thereby be okay to like kill a 10-year-old boy that's drinking some cow milk?
I'm wondering if you can answer my initial question that I came in. Like, why wouldn't you want to stop oppressing animals? You can
Because
only have control over your own actions.
I'm pointing out like a big issue within like this vegan view, and you're not picking up what I'm putting down. I'm asking you
So, but
to
if the
kind of
only way to
describe this
end
issue. Do you seriously think like if like the use of violence was like just as likely to be the only way to end the animal holocaust in America today as it was like in the Holocaust in Germany? Like, would it be okay to like slaughter 10-year-old boys drinking milk?
So there's still like oppression against minorities amongst humans, right? There's still
You're not
oppression
answering my
towards
question.
Jewish people, but like, well, but it's not the only way. Like if
I'm literally
ending
implying that the
racism,
violence would be just as necessary to end the animal holocaust, quote unquote, as it was to end the actual holocaust in Germany.
Um, I don't have an answer for this question, but I still don't understand. Like, we don't have to use violence to end racism. Racism still exists. Do you think that we should kill all racists? I don't think that that's the way, but I still think that you should take responsibilities for your actions because as long as you continue to oppress animals, you are the reason for their exploitation,
Okay.
violence, and oppression.
So keep in mind, you just told me that you didn't have an answer to that question. However, your inability to answer that question tells us like one of two things. The first thing that tells us is that you don't view right the slaughter of non-human animals as morally comparable to the slaughter of humans, even though you suggested the premise that you do
No,
view
I
the
do.
slaughter
I
of
do. And
non-human
I
animals
would,
as morally
like
comparable to the slaughter of humans. Okay, and now you're
if
saying
the
that now
only
you're
way
reaffirming that you do view it as synonymous. Well, then wouldn't the obvious implication be there for the same way it was justified to like kill like a Nazi foot soldier aiding and abetting in the death camps in Germany in 19 like 38? It would be just as justified to like kill a 10-year-old boy drinking cow milk.
Yeah, so I do think if the only way to end animal oppression is violence, sure, I would be for it. If the only way to save somebody else is to unalive their oppressor,
You just said that, sure, you'd
then
be for like
sure.
slaughtering 10-year-old boys drinking cow milk. Yeah,
I did
yeah.
not say that. Actually, you said that. I said if
That was
the
a question
only
that I
way,
asked you,
but
and then you said
the
sure.
thing is, it's not the only way, Dean. It's not the only way. The way is to stop paying for them to be exploited, enslaved, and murdered. And that's what you're doing. But you don't have
I mean,
to.
this is
You
like
don't
saying
have
that
to
violence
oppress-
wasn't.
This is the part where he disconnected me from the live and started making claims about what veganism means. But veganism only means one thing. Humans should live without exploiting other animals. He goes on to make claims about veganism equating human lives to non-human animals' lives. But to be a vegan, you don't have to equate non-human animals to humans' lives. You just have to recognize that humans have no good justification to exploit other animals. But he wasn't ready to hear that. That's why he disconnected me. It's not the only way. The way is to stop paying for them to be exploited, enslaved, and murdered. And that's what you're doing. But you don't have to.
I mean, this is
You
like
don't
saying
have
that
to
violence
oppress
wasn't the
animals
only
anymore.
way to stop the Holocaust in Germany in the 1930s. You just need to go in there and educate everybody and tell them that the lives of Jewish individuals matter. Like, listen, man. Like,
So
the
are
premise
you
of my
telling me
question
that
is implying that it was just as necessary to use violence in the Holocaust in Germany as it would be to use violence in the Holocaust of non-human animals, Holocaust, quote unquote, of non-human animals in America today. And then you said, okay, sure. So, like, given that like this same likelihood exists, then your answer here would be that it is okay to slaughter like 10-year-old boys drinking milk. Anyways, Jay. So that's one of my issues with veganism. I have a couple other. I am very sympathetic. I'll say it. I'm very sympathetic to veganism. I think that there's a way to frame it where it can make sense. I think that the first suggestion that you have to be able to make in order to make like veganism make sense is to like completely reject the idea that like humans' lives are just as valuable as non-humans' lives. You cannot hold to that. I think that the better position would be to hold to the idea that although right, we do grant non-humans a right to life, like accounting for a vegan position, you don't find them as valuable as humans. Like kind of think of like moral value in like a slider here, like moral value on a scale of like 1 to 100. So you need to like hit like the mark of having like 10 units of moral value in order to have the right to life. And maybe that's the mark in which like cows, chickens, and pigs would hit. But just because you have to hit that mark to have the right to life doesn't mean that like all like animals have that same amount of moral value. So maybe although both cows, chickens, and pigs and humans have the right to life, cows, chickens, and pigs only possess like 10 units of that moral value, yet humans possess like maybe 100, right? So like that's still consistent with like a vegan view. And I feel like that's a little bit better of a vegan view than suggesting that all like animals have the same amount of moral value, etc. And now there's a lot of people mad at me. They're saying Dean's point is irrelevant. Dean is not cooking. Listen, I'm sorry if I pissed some vegans off, but there is some very serious issues with the conceptions of a lot of vegan positions.
Veganism only means one thing. Humans should live without exploiting other animals. He goes on to make claims about veganism equating human lives to non-human animals' lives. But to be a vegan, you don't have to equate non-human animals to humans' lives. You just have to recognize that humans have no good justification to exploit other animals. But he wasn't ready to hear that. That's why he disconnected me.